today we have a very successful and accomplished couple with us, Dr. Vijay and Dr. Suman Sabharwal. Welcome, Vijay ji and Suman ji.
Thank you.
Welcome back, I should say.
Yeah.
They are both third generation of medical professionals in a family of 140 doctors. Dr. Vijay Sabharwal is an ophthalmologist and Dr. Suman a gynecologist. Together, they took over reins of the Sri Jeevan Hospital, which was established in 1920 in Jalalpur, now Pakistan. After partition, Sri Jeevan Hospital had a humble beginning at New Rohtak Road, Delhi. And today, their sons and daughters-in-law have joined them to bring the hospital to high standards of medical care. I welcome you again.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you both here. Finally, can you hear us? I can see you. Nice, cheerful faces. So for everybody, all lines are on listen only mode. We'll throw open the discussion for questions once the session is over, and do type all your questions on the chat group. So Dr. Vijay, please enlighten us on common eye ailments for different age groups, especially as we grow older.
As we grow older, the loss of vision is generally due to 4 or 5 more important diseases like cataract, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, age-related macular degeneration, and dry eyes. The good news is that 90% of this is all preventable. But the risk factors are involved in these conditions. They become more common when you grow older than age of 40 or over. If you're a smoker, if you're a diabetic, and if you have a family history of any other eye diseases. Now, coming one by one, let me start with the cataract, which is the most common cause of blindness. This is because of the opacification of the lens in the eye. Again, the good news is that 100% of the visual loss in this cataract is curable, and the persons get their vision back completely. The only treatment is the surgical, but the surgery is very safe and it is painless. Just a 2 millimeter incision is given through which the cataract is removed, and the cataract is removed by phacoemulsification, and an IOL, an artificial lens implant, is inserted through the same incision. Post-operative recovery is fast, and the patient can get back to work the next day. The second most common cause of blindness is glaucoma. It is said that it is a silent thief of sight. But the good news is that regular eye examination, early detection, and treatment can preserve the vision. It is the second cause of blindness. Now, this is caused by the increase in the pressure of the eyes, which causes damage to the optic nerve behind the eye and results in the visual loss. People who are at risk for glaucoma, developing glaucoma, are again people above the age of 40 years with a family history of glaucoma, people who have been taking steroids, people with high blood pressure, diabetes, and the myopes. Diagnosis of glaucoma is very important, but it is simple, routine, painless eye examination through which you can diagnose glaucoma. All that you have to do is take the pressure of the eye by a process called tonometry. You do a fundus examination after dilating with the dilating drops, where you examine the state of the optic nerves. We do the field test by perimetry. We do a gonioscopy to see the passages, and other tests which can be performed are OCT and tachymetry. The bad news about glaucoma is the sight which is once lost cannot be reversed. Glaucoma can only be controlled, not cured. Lifelong treatment and a regular treatment is required for this. Most of the glaucomas treatment, it can be treated by medicines which help the fluid to drain from out of the eye, or medicines to decrease the amount of fluid in the eye. It can be also treated by laser surgery. If it cannot be treated by the above two methods, then the surgery is also available, which entails making of an opening to drain the fluid out of the eye. Third important, the third important cause of blindness is diabetic retinopathy. Again, it is very important for all diabetics to get a routine retina checkup done periodically. If diabetes is not controlled well, the changes can be seen at the back of the eye. First, small hemorrhages appear, then new blood vessels appear on the retina, and these cause exudation of fluid from the blood vessels, causing macular edema and the loss of vision. The treatment of diabetic retinopathy, again, the changes once caused are irreversible, but the changes can be preserved or stopped by laser photocoagulation or by giving intravitreal anti-VEGF injections. Other cause of loss of vision in old ages, age-related macular degeneration or AMD. Macula is the central and most sensitive part of the retina and is responsible for focusing central vision and controls the ability to read, write, and see objects in details at a distance. When the cells of the macula deteriorate or degenerate, people experience blurring of vision, and if it worsens, the vision may be lost. Because of the rest of the retina still working, they retain some amount of peripheral vision. There are two types of macular degeneration which one must understand. One is an atrophic type, which is called a dry ARMD, and the other one is an exudative type, wet ARMD. Dry ARMD, unfortunately, there is no known cure. You just have to avoid to retard the process. You just try and avoid ultraviolet light, stop smoking, have a healthy diet with lots of antioxidants and vitamins. Wet ARMD can be stopped or retarded by laser photocoagulation, PDT, and again by anti-VEGF therapy, in which you inject the dye and then which retards the formation of the new blood vessels and thus stops the leakage. Some of the known anti-VEGF injections are Lucentis and Avastin.
So, Dr. Vijay, you just now said, lead a healthy lifestyle and stop smoking or, all these things. So, tell me, but does stopping everything help? Your eyes will still, or maybe I should ask you that, do the eyes reflect any oncoming problem, maybe a heart attack, maybe some other thing of your, something affecting your body in another way?
Yes, I think you have a very relevant question, because fortunately, eye is the only part of the body where you can actually see the blood vessels. When you dilate and see the back of the eye, you are actually, and these are the blood vessels which are going through all over the body. So if you can see, if we see some changes at the back of your eye, we suspect that similar changes on the vital organs like heart, brain. So you can not really predict, but you can suspect any heart problem or stroke. So you're right, this can be predicted by a good fundus examination. Even the brain tumors can be predicted by a good fundus examination.
So what are the signs that will come on the eyes? What are the signs to, observe?
Say for example, if you have a high blood pressure or a high cholesterol, you have narrowed blood vessels, and then you have ischemic areas where the blood flow is not going properly. So you can predict that, there could be these blood vessels also going through the heart, which are also narrowed, and the blood circulation is not so good. And similarly, blood circulation in the brain is not so good. So there are more chances of...
So the point is that you'll be able to see those blood vessels. But for me, what will I feel? I will only feel that heaviness, or, what will I feel if I'm going through that?
Unfortunately, you cannot feel anything. It is only by a good eye examination that you can predict and diagnose all these things. You will only realize it once the vision gets a little lost. You get
okay.
Just like explained in the case of diabetics, similarly changes will occur in blood pressure also.
So a blurred vision or a loss of vision, or it's a momentary loss.
Blurred vision initially, or a loss of vision, because when the blood vessel circulation is not happening good in the back of the eye, it could lead to again hemorrhages and things like that, which will lead to loss of vision. So till you don't lose vision, you will not be able to know. So that is why a regular eye examination is very important.
Regular, as in how regular should one have, and after what age group?
Yeah, that is something which I thought would be a very relevant question. So I got this. The first eye examination should be done at the age of 3 years or younger. Now, this would be to exclude any kind of a lazy eye in a child, or a squinting eye, or any other congenital abnormality which otherwise the parents may not be able to detect. After that, at the school going age and up till the adolescent, it should be every 1 to 2 years. In cases of adults, from the age group of 20 to 30, it should be every 5 years. In the age group of 40 to 54, it should be 2 to 4 years. And the age group of 55 to 65, it should be 1 to 3 years. At the age of 65, it should be 1 to 2 years. And such eye examination should be more often. Or if you have any family history of eye diseases or any other systemic disease. Every 2 years should be a good time. Unless
every 2 years is a good time.
It should be more frequent than that.
Okay. So another thing, when we talk of prevention better than cure, in this day and age of screens everywhere around us, phones, TVs, and laptops, what can we do to prevent that stress from hurting our eyes? There's a lot of stress already on the eyes, whether it's us, whether it's our children, older. So what can we do? I mean, we can't prevent that screen time usage because everybody is also working, right? So what can we do to some exercises, some over-the-counter eye drops?
Yeah, the eye strain is a very important or a very common sort of a thing. Now, basically the eye strain is when the eyes feel tired after staring at a digital device for a long time or after long driving. So we all face that off and on. If it is momentary and then it gets better after you take rest, then it is like a temporary. And but if it happens more frequently, then I think one has to be more careful. If you get like sore or itching eyes, watering, blurring of vision, headache, shoulder or neck pain, difficulty in concentration, insensitivity to light, these are the symptoms you'll feel if you are feeling the eye strain. So it's very important, you very rightly said, one of the most important causes of eye strain is the computer. So one has to be very, very careful. Why does it happen more often in computer is because of the blinking less, or the angle or a distance from the screen is not appropriate, or if there's a glare on the screen. And also in devices with poor contrast will give you more eye strain.
Is laser safe for the eyes?
Yeah, laser, yes, I would. So I think just to conclude on that, I think one must have a good posture while you're working on the computers. You must have corrected vision, just in case if you need glasses, you must wear all glasses all the time. You must have your muscles checked up for muscle imbalance. And the most important of all is the dry eyes. Because the computer vision also causes dry eyes, which gets worse when you're working on the
dry eyes. You said.
Yeah, dry eyes is another thing that causes the computer syndrome.
Okay, and how do we go about that?
Go about what?
Dry eyes. What do we do about that? Again, eye drops, exercises.
Yeah, dry eyes. Yes. See, again, dry eyes is the causes of dry eyes is in contact lens wearers it's very common. What happens is because tear film is got three components. One is which covers the cornea of the eye. One is the aqueous layer, and the other one is a mucus layer, and the third one is an oily layer. See, what happens is either this is because of the lack of tears, or also the stability of tear film is not there when there is the tear film is not formed properly, and there's a breakup of the tear film. So what causes it, like I said, contact lens, whereas on the oil glands in the eye, they do not produce enough oil so that the tear film is unstable. And again, adults over the age of 50, tear glands tend to produce less tears. Or you have other diseases like thyroid, autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. So these are the things which cause dry eye. And the treatment of dry eye is, of course, the first is again the examination is very important. If you have a good examination, then you basically remove the basic cause of dry eyes, and the other treatment is only putting on eye tear drop, which stabilizes the tear film. Yeah.
Sorry, can you just repeat the medicine, the drops?
Drops are the artificial tear drops.
Okay, tear drops. Okay.
Tear drops, yeah.
So for that, we don't need to consult a doctor, or do we?
That's why I said before that important thing is an eye examination, you see.
Examination is important. Okay, sorry.
Because you have to first confirm what is the cause of the dry eyes, whether there's any structural defect, because if there's any structure, there'll be instability of the tear film, whether there's a defect in the oil production, or the tear glands are not producing enough tears. So, if suppose it's a simple dry eyes, then the tear drop will do the thing. Other things is you can block the duct so that the tears remain there. So basically, you have to first treat the cause, and if there's no cause, then the treatment is only. But it's a nuisance to keep on putting the drop. You could produce. You can also put ointments and gels. But mainly,
so it's basically only delaying the problem, or maybe multiplying the problem. So
maybe relieving the symptom. It is only relieving the symptom.
Mm-hmm.
So you can treat the basic problem.
Treating the problem. Right.
Treating the basic problem. So where you have to go to the ophthalmologist for an examination.
Fine, I get it. So I had asked you about the laser. How good is laser? And 15-20 years later down the road, if something happens, or it's your eyes get weak again, can you do it again? Just a little bit of knowledge about laser surgery.
Yeah, basically the LASIK laser surgery is done to correct the removal of glasses, all the alternative to glasses or contact lenses. Basically what you do is you reshape the cornea to improve the visual acuity. Generally a very safe and effective procedure, but only if it is appropriately selected patients. Patient selection is a very important thing. If a well-selected patient, the results are almost like 98%. It's a very safe procedure.
And can it be done again? If there is a problem down the road, 15-20 years down the road?
Yes, it can be done again. See, the problems which occur with the LASIK surgeries, if it is not well selected, the patient. The LASIK workup is very important, where you do the visual checkup and also the prescription of glasses should be collected properly, and the corneal thickness should be examined. The normal corneal thickness is about 540 to 550 microns, and at least 450 microns should be there for a good successful laser surgery. But commercially they just want to get into a LASIK surgery. So these are the people who get into it. Or any other abnormal corneal problems like keratoconus, astigmatism. Dry eyes is again one of the causes of the problem in surgery. So these are the few things which we should evaluate. And if done after a good evaluation, it is surgery. After you see, let's say it doesn't recur, but there is a known it can regress, and it can be redone after 10-15 years if you feel like.
Thank you, Dr. Sabharwal. Thank you so much. And now, on a lighter note, I know there's been a lot of stress with the correction and the reconnecting and trying to, get back. On a lighter note, I would like to ask you, you've been married for so many years with Sumanji. And these are lockdown times. You are fortunate, or maybe sometimes you feel not fortunate enough to be stuck at home. and you're not able to go to hospital, as you said. How do you pass time at home, and what's your mantra for happiness that you want to share with us?
Our time at home, I think, firstly, we hardly get any time at home. Now
Okay.
that we have time at home, I think the important thing is we're both looking after each other well. That's one thing. And the mantra for happiness is really mind your own business.
So, thank you everybody for your patience. Today has been, slightly shaky as far as the session goes, but we've still managed to get a lot of information from Dr. Vijay. And thank you everybody for your patience again. Dr. Vijay, thank you for your time.
Thank
And
you.
unfortunately, we won't be able to talk to Suman ji because we were really waiting for a lot of information from her. But since it's already going to be 5:55, and we'll have to close the session. Music hour is now around the corner, but we will not, spare Suman ji from giving us all the gyan that she has. We want her to share, and we will come back next week and take her precious time. Suman ji.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, Suman ji. So we've not had this opportunity to get information from you today and, to gain knowledge from you. But we would like to come back next week and take your time for a detailed session.
Thank you for all the encouragement, and thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for your time again. And everybody, these things happen. Technology does play its role sometimes. Mostly it's all okay, but sometimes we all do face these glitches. Let's look forward to the music hour by Devang and Atul and Ranjit. And we'll meet again. Tomorrow is going to be a session with Richa Saklani, the founder and CEO of Inomi Learning and author of The Ultimate Guide to 21st Century Careers. And she'll be interacting with high school and college going kids about their recent experiences and also guiding them about possible future prospects. So I request you to pass the word around so that a lot of children benefit and they can watch the session and learn. Thank you everybody again. This is your neighbor and host Archana Malhotra signing off, and now we meet in the balconies until the session day after, when Ambassador Mr. Vishnu Prakash will be in discussion. And that's going to be another very, very educative, enlightening session for all of us. Thank you.